welcome to our first Wednesday broadcast of Community and the Constitution. For those of you who have been with us a long time, we're using this second night. We usually broadcast on Thursday evenings, same time, 7 p.m., right here on Blog Talk Radio. But we decided that that class was getting so advanced and we were picking up a lot of new listeners. We decided to start back with the basics for all you great folks out there. So tonight's our first airing of the new day, same time, same show. And, of course, we have Jose joining us, and Jessie will join us when she can. Tonight we're going to learn about the Constitution, its contract. You're going to learn a lot of information that you've never saw before. You probably have heard 1,000 different versions. You've maybe even sat in on YouTube lectures on the Constitution and the so-called universities out there. But if you have done that, you've also noticed a pattern. They're all just kind of repeating the same thing over and over again. It's like a broken record. Well, tonight for a lot of you folks, especially if this is the first time joining us, you're going to hear it in a way you've never heard it before. And you're going to hear it backed with law language. Since it is a legal and lawful document, we have to look at the law language of things. And it's all about starting to learn how to correct our verbiage. Because we've all been indoctrinated to think the same way and to believe in a certain way. When that way simply, well, is not the truth. It's borders on some truthful things at times, but in most cases, remember, our history is written by the winners. No matter what topic in history it may be. So you're really only getting one side of the story. And we've all been taught that way, especially if we've attended the public fool system, as we like to call it here on the Community and Constitution show. Jose, I hear you there in the background. How you doing tonight, brother?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Dave?
Oh, doing fantastic. Oh, good. I see you got back into the other chat room. Since it is the first show, we did launch the BTR chat room. It's for you guys who are floating around BTR, and I used to do that all the time myself, and look to see who had opened the live chats. Feel free to go ahead and post any questions or comments in there. Of course, you do have to log into your BTR account to do that. You cannot. You can read the chat, but you cannot participate in the chat if you do not log in. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can also go over the very top link that you're going to find in the chat room. There is our own freedomreigns.us/chat HTML. That's .html. That'll bring you to our Freedom Reigns chat room. That is open 24/7. So anytime you have any questions or comment about a particular show airing here on Freedom Reigns, that's the place you want to go. That'll also bring you, if you look on the left-hand side of that link, you'll find our homepage, our team, where everybody has their own page about their show, some the archived information, along with study links that go along with the many different shows we do air here on Freedom Reigns. There's also a forum. Now, I don't know how active that has been of late. I have myself have lagged in that department. I have not gone in and updated too much of the information for my particular show. All of our listeners usually join us here on air, excuse me, and call in with their questions and so on and so forth. The first couple of links you're going to want to make yourself familiar with, and we're going to get them posted in there. I just have not opened it at the moment, so you're going to have to give me and Jose there a second to get those links together for you. It's going to be for the Bovier's Law Dictionary. Now, if you go over at the Freedom Reigns site and you click on our team, you'll see my name, David Meola. Well, if you click on that, that will open up a new tab. And under that tab, you're going to see the top two links. You're going to see a little bit about myself. Pretty picture of me, too. How about that? The first 4 archived shows, which is pretty much the lessons we're going to be reviewing today. So you can always go back and listen to them. Right below that, you'll see Rabbit Hole and the Constitution Lesson 1 study links. Those are the two links in question. You may have to copy and paste them. They're Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Beaubier's 1856 Law Dictionary. And that's the topic for tonight. So we're going to use those two links. If you, I'll drop, let me copy and paste it here for the main chat out there in BTR. I'll drop the main site link, there you go, into the chat room for you guys. And if you click on that link, that'll open the page that I was just speaking about. And like I said, if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the two links together. It says Volume 1, and then right below that, Volume 2. Those are the law dictionaries we're going to be using most frequently throughout the show, throughout your lessons here. We cover many topics, and you'll start to understand why. And it's not that difficult. It's law, and law at times can be very dry and boring to a lot of people. However, we try to make it a little bit exciting for you, because you're going to learn it in a way you've never been taught it before. And hopefully if you stick with us long enough and you do the studies and follow the links, your eyes are going to be open like never before. You're going to get an education in the basics like you've never discovered before. And then if you get that fire lit in you and that hunger, well, you'd be surprised where it's going to lead you to. And you'll eventually going to find our main sites, which over there at packalliance.us. How you doing, Kurt? Glad to see you made it in the chat there. Welcome. It might be a little tricky, depending on what chat room you're trying to sign in to. Like I said, BTR, you have to log in order to comment. And you can comment in our main chat room without logging into the account, and you just show up as anonymous. But you can still comment. If you put your name in there, of course, we'll say hello to you by name. And we always enjoy knowing who our listeners are. And this way, too, if we have any questions or comments. Later, we will open the phone lines for anybody who wants just to call in. And that phone number is 714-868-0749. That number will never change. That number will always be the same, no matter what show you're listening to here from Freedom Reigns. That will always be your call-in number. If you're familiar with BTR, that is also the number you can call in to just listen. If you do have a question or comment, you push the number 1 on your keypad, and that will signal the board here so I can see that, yes, you would like to make a comment or you do have a question and you want to get on air to discuss it. And we love having you guys. The more questions that you ask, the better the show becomes, because then I am directing exactly what you want to know or what you may be curious about. There's going to be a lot of new information for a lot of people. Most people, I also recommend, please take notes. Open up a WordPad on your computer. If you got a pencil and paper and you're more comfortable using that, please do so. Take notes. Not only will I give you all of the links for the law dictionaries or anything else we may use, I will also be giving you page numbers and what volume to make it that much easier for you to look up. Those links are searchable. All right, Beaubier's Volume 1 and 2 are searchable. If you look to the left of those links, you'll see where it says search, and you type in a single word or a phrase, and it'll give you all the locations, and you just click on that, and it'll bring you to the page you're looking for. Or you can simply put in the page number directly, which is a lot easier, especially since the search engine on that particular site is, it's good, don't get me wrong, but if you don't know what you're looking for, it can be a little overwhelming. So, with that, if there's no questions or comments, Jose, if you have anything you want to add before we get started, we'll get started with tonight's lesson.
Well, I'd just like to touch on some of what I've been having to follow all week. It's been requested of me that I help in doing a little bit.
You, Jose. Check your mic plug, Jose. I think you unplugged yourself or muted yourself.
Huh? Can you hear me now?
Now you're back.
All right. Well, this week It's been a very interesting week. I've been requested by one of our listeners to actually help in doing some research and possible compilation of all this Sandy Hook information and line it up and set it up for a possible court and, pressing charges and finding out who and what and all that other stuff. And so that's pretty much what I've been doing. I've got about 12 hours of research into it just this week alone. Oh boy, is that a lot of stuff. But there's a lot of good information coming out of it. I'd like to say that, it might be possible to set up a show for this, but it'll end up being like a 2 to 3 day show. All I'm really gonna want to do is kind of hit some of the higher topics on it, and maybe put out, the links that I have, so so that people can pick up on it and see where it started, see where it's going. But it's very interesting. It is very, very interesting because there's stuff in there that dates back to December 10th. There's the 10th, there's the 11th, and there's things that date to the 13th. And then, obviously, what happened on the 14th, and all the news that come out of the 14th. And then a whole bunch of other stuff that's been out since then. Beyond that, I have been trying to catch up with the advanced materials that we have, and we can go into that tomorrow. For today, since we are redoing the beginners classes on this, if you haven't heard what we're talking about before, some of this may be new to you. Now, if you have, good for you. If you haven't, please take it. Don't take it in a heavy light or with a heavy heart, because I've got to say right from the start, I got to let you know, we have been getting played, we've been getting tricked, we've been getting fooled from so many angles. We are a very well manipulated society. As a matter of fact, most of the world is very heavily manipulated. This stuff starts pretty much from birth, and it's mega programming. It falls into the realm of brainwashing, but it's not brainwashing per se on certain aspects. Our educations are a big part of what they use to manipulate us. There's a lot of things that we are supposed to be taught in our schools, but the teachers are not allowed to teach it because the people that run the curriculum are, let's say, at the federal level and some at the state level, do not want the truth to come out. And when you study civics class, or government, if you will, you're not given 100% of the information. They give you, okay, you got a federal government and Constitution this and blah, 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 and then they hit you up with a whole bunch of American history extra stuff. They don't help you break down the Constitution word for word and understand it like they should. Okay? That robs us. That steals from our educations. It steals the educations of our children. It has stolen the educations of our parents. That's why me and Doc are here. We do this purely on a voluntary basis. We do not ask for money or anything else. But we do ask that you go out and at least search and see what we are saying is true. Doc is the nice guy. He will give you links. He will give you page numbers. He's going to give it. I mean, he hands it all over. I'm not such a nice guy. I'll give you the topic. I'll give you the truth, and I will let you go search for it. You have to go out and find it. You have to go out and verify it. That's probably where we differ. But I sometimes am a nice guy, and I'll post a link or two or something like that if I believe that it's heavy enough and important enough for you to get right now. Otherwise, with us, you must take notes, because we don't move slow, and what we give you as far as information is concerned, when you expound upon the information that we give you, it can fill volumes, not just one or two books. I'm talking volumes of information. And we do refer to a book called The Red Amendment. Why? Because it is a very, very fact-filled book, and it has information that everybody needs to know. And yeah, some of them, but it's simplified. It's simplified. Trust me, it's good stuff. Okay, I've given my starter speech, let's say.
I love that. Good guy, bad guy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's highlighted a lot of little things you're going to hear often. The Red Amendment, also known as the TRA. You'll hear that expression often as we go forward into classes. You're going to find tons and tons of links, and they're all going to be bringing you back to the pacalliance.us. That's our newest site. That's why I always remember the old one. I got to remember, no, it's a PAC Alliance now. But you'll also find the .org. You'll find the old PACinlaw.org.
Right.
So you're going to see links for that. Those are all part of, we have several websites through the PAC. Now, the PAC stands for, again, that's initials, like your TRA for the Red Amendment. PAC is the People's Awareness Coalition.
Right. Not to be confused with CPAC.
Right.
Which from what I have seen, is, I don't know, what was that, a Republican site? Or liberal, Democrat? I don't know. It's one of those two. It's either Republican or Democrat or a mix of both, and stay away from that. Most of what they say is just pure bull. And to find the truth in what they say, you have to be able to distinguish one drop of water from another drop of water in an ocean. You know? So, watch out for what's out there. We're not asking you to believe us. We're only going to give you facts. We're only going to give you truth. But you have to go out and find it. Like I said, Doc will give it to you right there for free. The whole 9 yards. I'm not such a nice guy. I'll make you work for it.
Not on everything.
Well, not on everything. But
you're going to find, if you go down this journey with us, okay, look at it as a journey. It's an exciting journey. The path has been laid before us. All we have to do is take it one step at a time. Mm-hmm. And please do not get overwhelmed with this. Do it little by little, because you're going to find it becomes very addicting. When I started this, working with the PAC Alliance and working with the People's Awareness Coalition, it was about 4 years ago. Matter of fact, I've been on the radio with Freedom Reigns. Originally started here on Blog Talk Radio as part of Freedomizer Radio. And that we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary. That's how long I've been doing this, folks. I've been studying, however, the law for well over 20 years myself, but could never really get all the ducks in a row. So once I found the first page, totally accidental. I was looking for one thing. I stumbled into another. I found Pack in Law original site, and I started going over that information. Well, the next thing I knew, I was already up for over 30-some hours straight studying this stuff. It becomes that addicting. You lose track of time. You want to know more. By the end of my first 6 months, I had over 100 links just to the PAC documents. I had over 100. These are all free study links. And within each PDF, you're going to find footnotes. Everything that the Alliance does has footnotes. And it'll tell you exactly what law dictionary it came out of, whether it came out of a regular, like American Heritage type dictionary, whether it was a specific court case in relation to it. So you're going to get a ton and tons of information. Start slow. Absorb it little by little. Don't rush it, because the better you absorb it, the easier it all becomes much later. If you go too fast, there's going to be a point in time where you're going to start mixing up the information. In other words, the straight line from A to B is going to start becoming a little crooked on you because you're trying to go in too many directions at once. So when you listen in on our tomorrow night show, which is a little bit more of the advanced, and we also cover a lot more of the current event stuff and information, you might find yourself overwhelmed because you don't understand everything that's going on, and you're going to have a million questions. Trust me, I know this because I've been there myself. Okay, so has Jose. When we start going down this, it's like, but wait a minute. You can stop every sentence, and you could talk about that one sentence for 3-4 hours.
Easily.
We've done shows that's lasted as long as 6 hours, folks. We're not going to do those anymore. That is just way too much information at one time. Yep. So with this, we're going to take a much slower pace. Okay, nice and easy. We're going to start with the basics. I give you the page number in the law dictionaries, so this way you know, hey, this isn't some patriotic hype. This is not a misbelief. This is not some misguided
mumbo jumbo
group or whatever you want to call it out there. We're dealing strictly with law, with facts, and everything we teach is backed and proven. We give it real easy. Here's the footnotes. Here's where the information came from. Well, at times you'll even get the Latin. And now that, again, is when you start getting into advanced classes, you're going to hear a lot more Latin references. Because when you deal with law, it's very common to come across Latin. And that'll come into play more often as we get more and more into the advanced classes. But with that, I think we're ready to start. If everybody's ready to rock and roll here, we're going to get started with our lesson 1 here on the Constitution. And I actually have it written out here. At the end of it, we're going to take a short break. We'll play a song so we can take a breath. And then we'll come back on and see if there's any comments or questions. Anybody on the, in the chat room or on air who has some questions or comments about it. And, of course, Jose at that time will be playing the devil's advocate, or not devil's advocate, the new student, if you will, and be asking questions, which are the most common questions asked for people who are just starting this. You could have been in this your whole life, but this is information. You're going to hear it in a way that you've never heard before. With that, let's get started. It's titled Constitution Lesson 1. After many years of study and watching colleges and universities lecture on the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, They're all sending the same message, but with different styles. And not one of them break out of the indoctrination preset program in order for you to learn the truth. All instructions from pre-K on up teach preset program. None of them are allowed to teach outside of the curriculum set down by the state, or to use books that have not been pre-approved by some government official, simply because the powers to be do not want you to learn the truth, because such truth would take them out of power and put them in their rightful place. For many, this place would be prison for all the treasonous acts they have committed against the laws of God and our common laws of nature. Today I will teach you the Constitution as you have never heard before. The Constitution is a contract, and as such, all wording within apply to law. So to understand the contract, we must take the words and using a law dictionary to understand what exactly does it mean and who does it apply to. When looking at any contract, you must try to use a law dictionary printed closest to the date of said such contract. With that, today we will use Beaubier's 1856 Law Dictionary. This particular, and here's the title, folks, Law Dictionary adopted to the Constitution and laws of the United States of America and of the several states of the American Union, with references to the civil and other systems of foreign law. Well, that is probably one of the longest titles of any book I've come across. And why is that? Well, for the average educated person, they will more readily see something is not right here. For the person of higher indoctrination, these things might not seem quite so obvious, simply because they have been taught to read the words and not the definitions or cause of the wording, but have been programmed to take another's word for what the writer is trying to say, instead of looking it up for themselves. The same can be said about mathematics. Instead of learning all the algorithms, it is easier to take the calculator's word to answer 2 plus 2. Well, this is how we begin to rely on others for information, instead of using one's own mind. Well, today we are going to change all that and begin to restart the engine of our minds by looking things up for ourselves. If we look at the title, we can see it is a law dictionary. Well, I broke it down into 3 parts. The first being adopted to the Constitution and laws of the United States of America. The second, the several states of the American Union. And the third, it includes references to the civil and other systems of foreign law. Now, you can take and other systems of foreign law as a separate section. However, you will shortly learn that the contract in question, the Constitution, is a foreign law. And for that reason, I have kept it down in just 3 parts. The title tells us this much by using the words "and other," showing that the Constitution is in fact foreign law. The question is, foreign to whom? Well, we will come back to that question later. For now, let's take a look at the wording of said contract to see just how the law interprets it. And I'm going to pause here for a second. Kurt, thank you. That's the link that's there. It is downloadable. However, it's both volumes together when you download it are very large volumes. So unless you really have the hard drive for it, I wouldn't recommend downloading it, since once you do download it, I don't know how easy it would be to search it. I always just use the links. I found it easier for me, but whatever your personal preference is, please feel free to do so. Yes, it is downloadable. But again, I've never done it. All right, lesson 1. Now, many people have heard these words before, and you're going to recognize it. Yes, it's the preamble to the Constitution. It says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Now, I've broken that down into 8 simple sections. This is the first sentence of the contract as originally printed, broken down, like I said, in 8 sections. Such a simple to read sentence, yet very few have truly understood its meanings. Number 1, people. That grouping, we the people. Well, if you click on your volume number 2, I believe that will be that one in, because it's in alphabetical order. That's why it's broken up into 2 volumes. And I can't remember what letter it ends off with. But it says, number 1, people. You'll find out on page 461. A state as the people of the state of New York. A nation in its collective and political capacity. Now, as you can see, it is the state within its collective and political capacity. It is not you and I. In the Law of Nations and the Federalist Papers, you will also find people defined as the elected leaders, the popular group, or rulers of. Again, never referring to a or the individual. Now, by now, a lot of people are saying, did he just say what I think he said? Well, yes, that's exactly what I said. We, the people of the contract, also known as the Constitution, sorry folks, is not you and I. Well, not until the 14th Amendment came around. We haven't gotten that far yet. So let's look at number 2, word union. That's in volume 2, page 612. It's a great read. It clearly shows that all states are individual countries, and they collectively formed a union with limited powers, the United States of America. Now, I'm going to pause there again. Gives you time to find that page, take your notes, and bookmark it. If you also look, and I'm going to throw in there because it joins together with those two. If you look up the word country, that's in volume 1. I don't have the exact page number because that's not in my notes. But if you look up the word country, you will see that the word country, by definition in law, is the state in which one is born.
Yep.
Okay. It is not the United States of America. The country, or member, exactly, Kurt, thank you, or member thereof. I'm going by memory, so. If you looked it up, that's great, Kurt. You can actually post that definition at any time in the chat room. Please feel free to do so. The next word I looked at is justice. Now, you're going to find that on page 686 and 687. That's in volume 1. Justice. The constant and perpetual disposition to render every man his due. Justice, being in itself a part of virtue, is confined to things simply good or evil, and consists in a man's taking such a proportion of them as he ought. Tranquility. That's a noun, everybody knows that one. A state of calm or quietude. Defense. Resistance against danger, attack, or harm. Protection. A person or thing that provides such resistance. Now, general welfare, that we can spend weeks on just that one topic. If you look up general welfare in Beaubier's dictionary, I don't have the page number for you on that one, sorry, but you're also going to find a link. Now, this is the other reason why I love the older law dictionaries. They quote court cases. They give you outside links to further your study on a particular topic. The website that they recommend, that's listed there in Beaubier's Law Dictionary, when you look up general welfare, is www.lawandliberty.org/GENWEL.htm. And I assume it's HTML, actually. If you go in there, you're going to find the full details of the meetings, according to our founders. Remember, we're talking about the beginning here, so it's all about our founders. Okay? And also remember, we're dealing with contract law, and we're going to get a lot more deeper into that as we go along here. Oh, thank you, Jose, for posting that.
Yep.
Now I moved on to liberty and posterity. Well, liberty. Freedom from restraint. The power of acting as one thinks fit, without any restraint or control, except from the laws of nature. Posterity. Descents. All the descendants of a person in a direct line. Well, sounds great, don't it? Liberty gives us freedom from restraint, and posterity secures it for the future. Well, however, I have left a few words out from the sentence. Who did they do this for? Liberty to ourselves and our posterity. If it was truly meant for you and I, it would have read liberty and posterity for all. It doesn't. If liberty is freedom from restraint and control, well, why do we have tons of statute, private laws that do in fact restrain and control us? Now remember specifically, I just mentioned that word, private law. All statute laws are considered private law. They are not public law. And more on that in future lessons as far as, well, if it's private law, then who does that law pertain to? We'll get to that later. And again, that ties into the evil 14th Amendment. On number 8, ordain. Find that on page 268. To ordain is to make an ordinance, to enact a law. That's Webster Dictionary, to invest official authority. So you have two separate definitions. One right from the Law Dictionary, Beaubier's, which is to make an ordinance, to enact a law. And Webster Dictionary tells us to invest official authority. Establish. Webster. To institute as a law, permanently, by enactment or agreement. So let's review. What have we learned so far? Constitution is a contract. The contract formed a more perfect union, as the union predates the Constitution. Right? Or otherwise they wouldn't have used the word more perfect. More perfect they use because they had to, because the union pre-existed the Constitution. The United States, or America in any form, is not a country, but a union of individual countries. There's not just one constitution, folks. There are 51 constitutions. There is one federal constitution, and there are 50 individual state, i.e. countries, constitutions. So when somebody talks about the Constitution, we must also define then, well, which one are you referring to? And that, again, will blow people's minds. They'll be like, what do you mean, which one? There's only one. Really? These are little things that start making the light bulb flicker in your brain. We, the people, are not you and I. And that liberty and posterity was secured only for themselves. And this is why each state/country has its own constitutional contract. A big one, though I have not fully explained it yet, the federal contract, or compact, if you will. The Constitution applies since the amendments adding the Reconstruction Acts. Now, those are in reference to the 13th, 14th, and so on. Only has jurisdiction over the residents of D.C. These residents, no matter where they may reside, are titled citizens and nationals of the United States. Until this time, folks, D.C. never housed citizens of their own, for their jurisdiction is limited only to the 10-mile square known as Washington, D.C. D.C., District of Columbia. It is foreign land. Remember the dictionary's title? Foreign is in the title of the dictionary. District of Columbia, it is foreign land. It is not a state. It is not a nation. It is a 10 square mile piece of land located within the Union. Okay? So, the District of Columbia is a foreign land, but it's foreign to the Union. And all its citizens, meaning all you guys, U.S. citizens, and us, are de facto foreigners to the Founders' Republic, as guaranteed in the contract. This is why the individual states' laws clearly show the dual citizenship, and the laws apply and are upheld by the states. These laws are private and only apply to their citizens and nationals' de facto democracy. Okay? The guaranteed republic in the Constitution still exists and is de jure. De facto and de jure are Latin words. De jure meaning of right, and fully recognized at all levels of jurisdiction. This was set up by the Congress to ensure the de jure prior the Reconstruction Acts. This was done to give the de facto the illusion of law as it is voluntary. Voluntary is the key word in this, folks. Congress passed what is known as the 15 Statutes at Large. This is a process set up to remove oneself from the de facto democracy with its private laws and statutes that only apply to citizens and nationals of this one and only lawfully recognized process passed by Congress and places one back into the de jure republic set up by the founders with all freedoms intact. That's freedom from the private laws and statutes. Freedom from all permits, i.e. permission from the de facto for all things. The 15 Stats at Large is no longer being printed. However, it has never been retracted or removed from the congressional records. You can look this up yourself. This process many have heard of, but most get it wrong and cause themselves even more issues than they had before. The lawful path to correct the wrongs and usury of the 14th Amendment and the Reconstruction Acts is titled and called expatriation. The problem and the mistake many make with this, they expatriate to a country outside of the Union. Now this makes them stateless and can lead to the removal from the Union. You can be deported to that whatever country you expatriate it to, because they never realized that each state within the Union is an individual and independent governed country that you can lawfully expatriate to. But in further lessons, we're going to go into much detail on that. The process, what it means to a person, what is given up, and what is gained in return. In the future lessons, we will also dive deeper into the evils of the Reconstruction Act, especially the 14th Amendment, because so many people have been misrepresenting since its enactment. The law has placed us into this political position and the so-called police state. And it is the law that will set us free, not some whimsical idea, not some hocus pocus or magic wand. And that's very important. And this is why we have to go step by step. For now, let's just focus on the first section until we fully understand the laws and their meanings as it applies to the constitutional contract. Right? As always, guys, please ask lots of questions. This is how we know not only you're paying attention, but too we can stay on the topics that interest you or the parts of a particular document that grabbed your attention, so we can delve a little bit further into it and help you understand it a little bit more. We will repeat and have no problem going over the same thing multiple times until you're comfortable. All right? We do this for you guys. We're the teachers as well as the students, and we're going to learn from each other.
Yep.
Just keep an open mind, do the research, follow the links, take lots of notes, and within a short period of time, within just a few months, you will understand not only what the founders' original intent was, how we got into the predicament that we're in today, and why we are still in this system of operation. And once all these little dots and ducks start lining up, you're going to find not only you're going to get angry, you're going to get pissed, you're going to get upset, you're going to want to pull your hair out. And then you're going to find a calm within you. Like, wow, I can't believe I was that suckered. But you're not alone. We all were. And this is what you have to remember. And at the end of all this, you're going to find out, and this is a hard pill to swallow, that there's plenty of blame to go around, but there's really only one person to blame. And that's the reflection in the mirror. And when you can get to that point and look at that reflection, and you can point at that reflection and say, it's my fault. I'm the only one to blame. That's when you can begin to make a change. Okay? Only then does the change begin to take place. At any time, please ask a question, call in, raise your hand, share your story. It's your show, guys, okay? We know this information. We've been doing it for a long time. At any time, shows are always archived. We even have our YouTube channel up. You can find us over there on YouTube at the Freedom Reigns channel, Community and the Constitution. I don't know how many shows are up there on YouTube. That's something we're just now getting up and running. Zach has been doing a fantastic job for us, getting all the shows put together in a nice visual fashion, as well as just kicking back and listening to the audio. And all that, of course, takes time. And everybody here, it's all voluntary, folks. We all do this because it's in our hearts to do so. Nobody gets paid here. Nobody ever asks for anything. When you can donate, great. Okay? If not, that's fine too. Not a problem. It only goes to keep the station running, and it goes in our pockets at all. For now, I'm bouncing through the chats, both sides. Yeah, it is a small private class tonight. We didn't really advertise this other than just before the show, so we kind of expected that to happen, which is fine by us. I will do my shows and been doing them for 4 years, and I will continue to do so as long as there's one person out there listening. I'm not a big fan of the, 2,000 listeners and all these, followers, if you will. I'm not a leader, folks. Right? I'm not looking to be in charge. I'm not the boss. Right? Heck, I'm a citizen, just like you guys, since I've not corrected my status yet. And that you're going to learn more about in the future as well. It's your show. Ask the questions that you come up when you're doing your studies and following the links. Take notes and come in when we're on either Wednesday or Thursdays. Pop the question, call in, ask the question. Let me know which PDF in question that you were referring to, I should say. Let me know which one you're referring to, so in case I need to jump back. Because like I said, I have over 100 links just on the PAC, the People's Awareness Coalition's documentation, not counting all the external links beyond that. So I have about, I would say almost 1,000. I don't know, maybe not quite that high, but darn close to it, of links. So there's a ton of information, and it can get sidetracked very quickly because one thing always leads into another, and we have a tendency to get off track. Also, heads up, we're not going to do this too often on Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights is the slower pace, kick back, get the basics down, help you guys with any questions or study material that you're looking for. Thursday night, although we're only in live broadcast for 2 hours, we more often than not, we run into overtime and we do the extra hour, which can be heard during the archived shows, or you can call in on that number and you can join us on the live shows. You don't have to put your hand up. If you just want to sit there and listen, that's fine. And you can join us and hear it the last hour live over the phone. All right, but VTR gives us that extra hour that is archived. So when it does fully archive, you'll get that extra hour for our archive listeners. Good night, little one. Sorry, I was saying good night to my daughter there. If we take things nice and easy and we direct your questions specifically, then we know we're on the right path. Then we know where you're still having trouble with, or what part you're not fully sure of, or you need a little bit more confirmation from another source or document. If you start and find just one document, you will notice not only are all the PAC documents footnoted, but you will also see, as you go along, references to much, much more detail about a specific paragraph or topic within. And you're going to find more links. And this is what I mean about the chasing the rabbit, getting so involved in this, because one link will add to another, will lead to another, will lead to another, and next thing you know, you'll be like me 6 months from now, and you'll have a couple hundred links. So I recommend making a folder in your favorites file on your web browser that says PAC, P-A-C, or whatever you'd like to title it, or studies, or whatever you'd like, and put all your links there so you can easily find them. They're all in one place. I have them all over the place. I have folders full of links. We have interactive. One of our favorite, which we love to do, especially with newcomers, is you'll find that at that first link I gave you there for our show page on Freedom Reigns. You'll find a link for the deprogramming, and you can get to that through pacalliance.us/deprogram. That's a fun, interactive, tons of information. You're also going to find 20 outside links to further the information just in that short, one section alone. You do not have to go through and bookmark all those links. I have them for you. And when we get into the, probably the end of this month, we'll start getting into the PAC deprogramming. And then we'll start hitting up those links and sharing those links with you, so you don't have to go crazy trying to bookmark them, because some of them may be dead links. We have not updated that in some time, and I apologize for that. If you do come across a dead link, it's not your fault. We're in the process of moving a lot of stuff from the old servers to the new servers, and in the process, when you have that much information going back and forth, it does have a tendency to get a little tied up, but that's okay. I'm looking at the chat room here. It says most of the questions are concerning correcting the status, and then personally, what approach should one have towards Social Security and some other services put there to transition through this without the need to work full-time, etc., and disability? That's a great question, Kurt. Please bring that up for tomorrow. All right, Jose, if you can make a note of that question for me, and we'll hit that tomorrow, because that's more going into the advanced for sure when we start talking about status, and we'll definitely take note of that and direct that more for you tomorrow night. What Kurt is talking about is, hello, Sarah, and welcome to Community and the Constitution. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat room or call in, and we'll get you in there. What Kurt is referring to is what we're talking about is the end zone. The end goal here is to correct our status and put us back into the organic Constitution, the Founders' Republic, which is guaranteed by the Constitution, where you fall now under the law of natural law. if you will, common law of customs and usage. That is what's been taken out from underneath us. That's what's been stolen from us in the dark. Okay? These evil people have done this to us. And they're so blatantly obvious about it because we just don't know any better. We're lost in our own ignorance. It's not that we're stupid people. We have just never been taught any differently. And that's what these classes are all about. They're going to help waking up that part of your brain that's been asleep all these years. Because they never came out and told us at 18 you had a choice to become a U.S. citizen and subject to their jurisdiction, or to be a member of the correct political allegiance, republic, if you will. And they don't tell us this. They don't tell you what the pros and the cons are. People are just, they go about their everyday life, not knowing any better. And we've all heard the maxim, that famous saying, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And that gets back to that, pointing at that reflection in the mirror and realize you're the only one to blame. Because all this has been published, and this is why they can claim ignorance of the law is no excuse. Because every single law, every single statute, all Congress's hearings, all the congressional documents are all printed and available to the public. You just got to look it up. But we become lazy and complacent, and we just don't know any better. Hey, our parents did it, and their parents did it, so it must be a law that we have to do it, and not knowing any difference. This is where these classes come into play. We start to teach you, hey, there is a difference. And at the end of all this, there is a light at the tunnel. And there is a remedy to follow. And it is true freedom. But you got to do the homework. You got to follow the links. You got to do the studies. The studies are important. If it was about money, folks, it would be, yeah, sure, pay me X amount of dollars, I'll correct your status. And it takes about 90 days to do it. Boom, okay, now you're free. And I guarantee within the first 30 days, if not within the first 90 days, the same amount of time it took you to get out, within the first 90 days, you're going to accidentally sign the wrong contract, check off the wrong box out of habit that says, yes, I'm a U.S. citizen. And guess what, folks? You're screwed because it's a one-time deal only. You can't say, oh, shit, I screwed up. I want to do the process again. Sorry, doesn't work that way. That's not our rules. That's the law. Okay? That's the law. And that's what we talk about here. We don't talk about hype. We don't talk about all these misbeliefs that are out there. And starting next week, we're going to start covering a lot of those misbeliefs. Because before we can move forward, we have to be able to understand law. Not like we have to be a lawyer and heck with that noise. We just need to understand the basics. And we need to be able to see who the con artists are. You need to find out and learn who the snakesmen, the snake salesmen, the scam artists, the con artists, the crazy wackos out there preaching all this stuff, charging tons of money, and none of them have standing in law. And that's the problem with this so-called freedom movement. There's a bunch of agent provocateurs, which are paid individuals by the government to keep you distracted with these lies. They make it sound great. However, that old maxim, if something sounds too good to be true, the odds are it is. We need to start waking up that side of our brain, folks. We need to start realizing that, hey, something's not right. And many of us realize this. We'll sit there day in and day out, you just be driving along, listening to the radio, and you'll hear, something's just not right. That's wrong. That shouldn't be right. But you can't put your finger on it. You can't narrow it down and say, that's why it's like that. Well, that's where we come into play. We help you with those questions that run through your mind day in and day out. If it says so in the Constitution, a guaranteed republic, why do we hear day in and day out, democracy, democracy, democracy? A lie repeated often enough becomes truth. And democracy is a choice. And we volunteer for that form of system. Okay? Once we understand how this all came about, how the law really works, and what's it really mean, and why and who and how it applies, which is very simple to do if you follow step by step with us, you'd be surprised how, almost within minutes, you can put a YouTube video on one of these patriot groups out there, trying to sell you some patriotic hype idea, all right? And within the first 5 minutes, be able to pick up on, I know exactly where that guy's from. That's a scam. Move on to the next. You no longer have to waste hours upon hours upon hours with these con artists on YouTube, because you'll be able to recognize almost instantly exactly what that person's all about, exactly where they're coming from, and where they're wrong. And just by doing that, okay, just by having that ability to recognize the false, at the same time, you're that much quicker to recognize the truth. And this saves you time, and time is money, folks. A couple of years ago when we started the beginner classes again, I had a new student the first day stumbled into the show, much like I'm sure our guests have. We have 3 guests, and we welcome you all and thank you all for joining us. And we have, of course, by name, we have 2 others, first timers, Kurt and Sarah, and we thank both of you for joining us here this evening. And he heard my introductory, he heard what was going on, and we had actually that day, we had just started the Patriot Misbelief paperwork and documentations. He called in, and right away the hand went up. And when that happens, I usually get a little bit nervous, because you never know who's on the other end of the phone. You don't know if they're going to come in, because you have those trolls out there. But I'm a firm believer that with this type of show, I put you on live. I'm not going to screen you in the back room. Of course, I'm going to have my mouse button over your mic just in case. But I'm going to give you that opportunity to come forward. I'm not going to be screening you in the background. Our calls do not get screened. You go live on air, and we will call on you, the second we put you on air. And the man came on air, and he was so excited. And he couldn't stop thanking me. Now, I'll explain his situation in a minute here. Till this day, from time to time, I still get an email or a chat message from him that says, thanks again. Be it on one of my ATS, above top secret threads that I also teach from. You'll be referred to links from over there as well. Because my blog became such a mess, I organized everything over there on Above Top Secret. Yes, it's a conspiracy site, but it was easier for me to organize all the links with all, when you have a couple hundred links laying around, it was just easier. Now, some of those, of course, now have become dead links, and we'll have to get those corrected. However, Above Top Secret will not allow me to edit that particular post, the original post, because it's been up too long. So you'll have to scan through the other replies to find the new link. If it doesn't automatically bring you to it, most of them, though, if you just wait a minute, will direct you to a location on the new server, so you can get that link. So if you just be a little patient, it'll all come together. But long story short, he was just about to write a $2,000 check to the Freeman movement to correct his status and to become a freeman on the land. Check was written, folks. He had a $2,000 check written, ready to go. It was going to go in the mail the next day.
It's a lot of money.
And heard the Patriot Misbelief paper. That's what he called so excited about. And to this day, like I said, he couldn't thank me enough. I saved him $2,000, let alone all the embarrassment of the scam that he was bought into.
Yeah, that UCC crap just, oh my God.
I even told him, I said, look, do not take my word on this. Keep that check in your pocket, on your counter. Just don't send it out. Research and verify the information I provided, and then make up your mind. And that's what he did. He came back it was probably about a week or so, maybe almost 2 weeks later. He came back to me and says, I still have that check. In fact, I just tore it up today. I could not find one negative thing. And he looked hard. I went through every single thing there. I spent for the last 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, he went purposely on a mission to prove me wrong. And he couldn't do it.
I did too.
There you go. They did the same thing. And I encourage you, please do the same thing. Do not take our word for it. This is why we provide you the links. This is why we give you the links to the law dictionaries. Okay? We want to give you all the information and all the tools available to help you in your study. We're not here to blow smoke up your butt. We're not here to say, hey, everything's roses and sunshine, come with us. Okay? No reason. We're not here for that. We want to give you the tools. We want you to prove us wrong. Because, hey, we've been doing this for a long time. And from time to time, we do have people say, oh, wait a minute, you misquoted something. That's fine. Let me know so I can fix it. I am a student just like you. Every day I learn something new. And that's the beauty about this. It's impossible when it comes to law or any topic really, especially if you're passionate like I am about a specific topic, to know everything. It's just way too much. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of statute laws out there and all this other craziness, and it just never ends. I don't think that studio link's going to help anybody else. I think you put the wrong one in there, brother.
Oh, did I?
That one ain't going to help anybody. That'll come up.
Well,
yeah, I think the one you were looking for is the show page link. Let me drop that one in there. That's the one you're really looking for. The one you put in there is actually to the studio for the hosts, where we control everything from.
Yeah, okay.
No problem. And they're done that myself over the years, more than once actually. Nicholas, welcome. Thank you for joining us, please. And also, folks, on Thursday night, we usually don't open this particular chat window. Everything's done in the other chat window. But that's okay. I'm going to change that. I've always liked the BTR chat room, and I'm going to start opening that on a regular basis. If you have a radio show of your own here on Blog Talk Radio, please post it here in the Blog Talk Radio chat room, and I will gladly advertise it on air for you. Okay? We all work together. You know, we're all in this to learn. If you got a radio show of your own, please feel free, advertise it in our chat room. You're more than welcome to. We would love to hear what's on your mind and what kind of shows you do. We're very open here. And all we ask you to do the same. You know, if we're advertising for you here on Freedom Reigns, you know, hey, when you're doing your show, drop you know, drop a little hint out there and say, hey, check out these guys over here. This is what they talk about. And one hand washes the other there. You know, much appreciated, if you will. If there's no questions that I see at the moment, a couple of people are coming in and out, drifting in and out, and that's great. Always love to see that. And like I said, you can always check into the archives if you missed any part of the show. The archives are always there. If you do a search on the internet for David Meola or Dr. Meola, that's me, or Doc Meola, or even the show title, Community and the Constitution. I've been airing under that show title for 4 years, folks. 4 years we've been doing this. So there's plenty of archived information that you'll find throughout Blog Talk Radio, out there on the internet, on the web. Plenty for you to go back and research if you ever miss a part or looking for something specific. Just let me know. I have tons and tons of links to help you with your study. But you have to make the, you know, I can't read minds, folks, especially through the radio. It doesn't work. Sorry, can't, you know, I'm not a Jedi. I can't control the Force, if you will. So please, let me know what you're looking for. Let me know how your studies are going. Just drop in from time to time. Say, you know, hey, thumbs up. Thank you so much. You know, give me some encouragement to let me know that what we're teaching you is helpful to you. And come on air and give us your testimony, what you have done, what story, what led you, how'd you find us, and so much more. Thursday night, tomorrow night, folks, 7 o'clock. For those who are just joining us, we're on 2 nights a week, back to back, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Blog Talk Radio. Thursday night is a little bit more advanced topic as far as into this particular subject, but we also cover all topics on Thursdays, everything from food, health issues, vaccines, you name it. You know, like I was explaining in chat here earlier, this show is your show, folks. We're just here pushing the buttons, but you direct the topic. If there's something on your mind that concerns you, please bring it forward. We're here to help in any way we can. And we're always open to learning ourselves. Many of you guys have your own careers or interests. And if you want to share, Thursday's night is the place to do that. Let us know, hey, you know, I teach whatever the topic is, or this is what I've researched on a specific topic. Bring it on. Call in anytime. It only brings that much more, enjoyment for all, because everybody can learn something new. And like I said, law itself in general can become a very dry topic. I don't want to sit here all night and talk about law books.
Yeah, no kidding.
Gee, that drives us nuts. Some of us love it and we live and breathe it, but you know, even that is like, okay, you gotta take a break, you know. Can't deal with that longer.
Every now and then, it's fun to crack open a YouTube video and watch people, you know, do stupid things and knock themselves out and stuff like that, and get in a good laugh.
Oh.
But overall, we try to keep it light, entertaining, and intelligent, if I may. Now, sometimes, you know, every here or there, either I or Doc or someone else will call in and have something to say. It'll turn into a rant. Some of the rants are kind of funny, some of them that I do are probably not as funny, but yeah, everybody has something to contribute. Believe it or not, if you're listening to this show right now, you do have something to contribute. We know you do. Somewhere along the line, you're going to have the right question, or somebody else is going to have a question, and you're going to have the right answer. That's what we're here for. That's what you're here for. We're all in it to help each other. Me, personally, um, I really don't like the Fed at all. I'm a veteran. Doc is a veteran too. I feel betrayed by the Fed because of the service that I gave, and because of the lousy return that I've received on that service. I mean, 6 years of my life I put into, being a soldier, a good soldier for the Fed. And I honestly did believe, deep down inside my heart, that I was serving for the rights, liberties, property, and lives and freedom of all Americans. Well, that's kind of putting it broadly. Let's say the Americans that are known as the United States of America, the Republic. I thought it was still a republic. Well, what do you know? I was shocked. I was thoroughly shocked and befuddled to learn that, yeah, the republic exists, but I'm not living in it. Matter of fact, I'm not even a part of it. And so, no wonder that I would do things and, woo, here comes the cops. I would do something else and, woo, here comes the cops. Okay, well, you kind of get used to being around the cops, but it's embarrassing when you grew up in high school with them or all your schooling with them. And so you start to, look for the answers. You want to look this direction, you want to look that direction. One of the first things you start off with is, well, they're using this law against me, so I'm going to learn to fight that one law. And then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and you find out that you're walking into a courtroom, and every time you walk into that courtroom, the odds seem to be completely stacked against you. There's no winning. You find yourself sitting in a jail cell for some time, wondering, well, I thought I had a really great defense. Well, guess what? You was in the wrong courtroom. Well, you was in the right courtroom, but you had the wrong jurisdiction. If you were thinking that you was in a courtroom of justice, that's where you were thinking wrong. Because you weren't in a courtroom of justice, you was in an administrative courtroom. Administrative is not justice. That's where they just, that's where you got your magistrates and all kinds of other funny sounding judges, and they administrate. There you go. That one word alone, it's not justice, it's administrative. Like legislative. Like they tell you how wrong you are. And that's why you don't get a choice between guilty and innocent. You only get guilty, no contest. And what was that other one? Not guilty. Really? Okay, so you get 2 guilties and 1 not guilty. Hmm. Fascinating. And once you start getting that, you start seeing, hey, wait a second. This ain't no republic I'm in. This is something different. And, you start looking around and you say, well, hey, wait a second. Um, According to the way I learned it, you know, isn't the government supposed to answer to the people? We the people? And, aha, yeah.
Exactly. They answer to we the people. But like we've
Yeah.
learned tonight, we the people aren't you and me.
Yeah, that's true. They aren't.
They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And until we understand that, that's where our studies come in. And that's the problem. It comes down to, you're going to hear repeatedly, it comes down to jurisdiction. And you're also going to hear um, frequent words such as de facto and de jure. You're going to hear democracy over republic. We're not talking Republican versus Democrat, folks. We're not talking party lines. Okay, this is not what we're referring to at all. We're talking about body politics and allegiance. These are all key words. It's your allegiance that helps set up your jurisdiction that you're subject to. Okay? It's all ties in together. And that jurisdiction is either de facto democracy or de jure republic. It's that simple, and that's the only lines you have to understand. And as you go through this, that'll all become more and more clear as you go through your studies, how you can very easily separate the categories and why, and you'll understand why we refer to things as what is private law, which is all statutes and all laws that apply to U.S. citizens are considered private law. And you'll hear the reference to public law, which is also known as your common law. We're also going to start hearing, when we start getting into the misbelief paperwork, is where everything's going to really start clicking for you. You're going to understand. Wow, I don't want to let all the cat out of the bag on the first night, but you're going to understand and be able to quite readily recognize, like I was saying, all these false teachings out there within minutes. Okay. Also want everybody to understand too, we have a lot of law enforcement friends here. They are our insiders. I have family members that serve on the department. I myself volunteered on a department in one of the voluntary, obviously, divisions. My mother was in law enforcement for 8 years when I was a child growing up. We are not against, in any way, shape, or form, law enforcement. You may hear us say things such as the police state. Do not take that personally if you're a Leo. You are our brothers and sisters. We support you, provided you're doing right by us. We don't believe in violence of any kind. We always go out in peace. All right? And that will come more clear as you learn more and more about the pros and cons and the advantages and disadvantage of this whole process, this whole journey that we're on, and the reason why you want to go in peace. The key with this is to stay out of their courtroom, to stay out of their court system. That's the key. You don't want to be there. No need to be there. If you have status and in the proper jurisdiction, you can't be there by law. And that, again, you're going to learn more about as we go on through here. Jose's posting quotes from tonight's show from Lesson 1. I believe also you will find Lesson 1 uploaded at the show's homepage there. When you see the Lesson 1 Community and the Constitution, you'll see other links there as well. And you can read along with that and along with the show, and you can go over those study links. You can follow those links and get deeper and deeper into your research. We need to change our mindset, folks. We got to stop reacting the way they want us to react. Anytime you hear us refer to they, we're always talking about the powers to be, the government, the elitists, the builder, the rulers, those in charge are they. So instead of just putting a name on it, they covers all of them. Makes it simple. So when you hear us refer to they, the boogeyman, exactly, Kurt, or whatever, that's who we're referring to. They are the enemy. Another old maxim, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, right? What's the best way to help yourself with law enforcement? Don't be aggressive to them. Don't go on and follow all these other nutty stuff that people have out there. Be friends with them. You're walking around town. You have regular officers you may see day in and day out. Going to the store, walking up and down Main Street, wherever it may be. Right? Don't be afraid of them. Walk up to them. Say hello. Thank them for the job they're doing. We don't see and hear enough of the positive PR, if you will. And yet, what's the first thing we do as citizens when we're in trouble? We call 911. Well, all week long, we've been bad-mouthing them and bashing them because they gave us a damn ticket and our insurance went up or whatever the case may be. But then again, when there's somebody knocking at my door or raping my kid or whatever, beating up somebody else, what's the first thing we do? We pick up the phone, 911. Hey, help me, help me, help me. Hello? And yet, no matter how much we badmouth them and how much bad PR they get, thanks to YouTube, they come rushing in, lights and siren, and they're there to help. And then 2 days later, we forget about the good deed and how they just helped us out. We're right back to them good, power-hungry police state revenue collector scum. Okay? Guess what, folks? If you know these officers, I know, I can't say I know all my officers in my county. God, that's hundreds. But I know a lot of them. And they've given me you ever need anything, call me, with their personal cell phone number on it. Right? They've taken my classes. They've gotten our textbook, the Red Amendment. They're teaching other law enforcement the truth. They're on our side, folks. And they support us fully. You'll even hear from them from time to time. You're not going to know that they're police officers because we don't tell you that they are. But you're going to hear from our callers from time to time. You're going to get comments and stuff in the chat room. I know they're my buddies. I know they're my Leo friends. Some of them will even tell you, hey, I'm on the job. Or, yeah, I'm a Leo. That's why I know this. What I'm telling you and what Doc's telling you is true. Because they support us. They support the process. And they're on our side. There's a few bad apples out there, don't get me wrong. Most of the time, it's rookies trying to make a name for themselves. But if you're the type of person that, hey, don't be afraid of them. They're regular people, just like you and me. And they're doing a thankless job, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Go up, say hello to you. Introduce, hey, I'm David. Nice to meet you. I just wanted to thank you for the great job you're doing. And then guess what? The one day that you are speeding, intentionally or not, and you get pulled over. And the officer comes walking up to the car, and you can look up at the officer and say, "Hey, Ed, how you doing?" "Oh, hey, Dave. Why I pulled you for it?" He says, "Yep, I know. Sorry, I was jamming to a tune and wasn't paying attention." And he goes, "No problem. Just slow it down next time, all right? I'll talk to you later. Say hello to the wife and kids for me, Hello? It's kind of hard for an officer to give you a ticket when he knows you. Not saying that he won't give you a ticket. Sometimes they'll give you a ticket even if they know you. You know what I mean? It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card, folks. But understand that, hey, you did something wrong. You were speeding. As a citizen, you're subject to their jurisdiction and their laws. The sign was posted. You know darn well you were speeding for whatever reason. Hey, officer, made a mistake. I'll do my best not to let it happen again. Here's my paperwork. Well, it's all good and clear. I haven't had a ticket in years or whatever the case may be. And believe it or not, if you're good to them, I'd say at least 9 out of 10 times, they're going to let you go. Or they're going to give you a warning, which is still letting you go. It's all in how you deal with them. You treat them with respect. And as long as you don't got a record a mile long, they're going to let you go. They're going to, they're going to look away for that occasional, couple of miles over the speed limit. They're going to let you go for the rolling stop at a stop sign. All the officers I know, and we don't see them as often like we should on YouTube, they will tell you that you talk yourself into a ticket. They don't want to write you a ticket. They don't want to do the damn paperwork. Now, of course, rookies, they're going to give you a ticket because they're trying to make a name for themselves. But on a whole, they don't want to give you a ticket. If you give a little, treat them with respect, and don't be like one of these whack jobs you see on YouTube. I know my rights. Blah, 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 blah. You start acting and pulling all this patriot bullshit out there as a citizen, guess what? They're going to laugh all the way to the bank, folks, because they got you. And they're going to throw you under the bus.
Yeah, no, with my friends and my cousins, and believe me, I've got a lot of friends and cousins that are actually law enforcement officers. Um, some of them are county sheriffs. Some of them are state police officers, and some of them are city police officers in a big city. Now, if I get stopped or if I'm doing something and they see it and all that, hey, I've never asked for any type of special treatment from them. And now I have, tried to talk myself out of some of this stuff at the start. Like, dude, can you just, let me go home? And if they say, nope, sorry, can't do that, that's the last of it that that I'll say of it. That's the very last. Because I don't need to put their jobs in jeopardy. No. I would not do that. And I know they wouldn't put my job in jeopardy. Whatever my job is, I'm still trying to kind of figure that one out. But for now, this is my job. Of course, any of them that have been listening to me and have any connection to me over the internet, they already know what I do. I'm sure some of them have popped in and listened and said, oh, okay, no problem. So they're going to know that I know and they're going to know what I know. And when I'm going to start speaking, then it's going to come with some sort of or it's going to be heavy. I might throw in a little bit of levity, you know, can't hurt to joke. But I'm going to know what I'm talking about. And yeah, it happens. Sometimes I get my facts mixed up. But that's all right. All right, well, we're down to the last few minutes in our show. About 6 minutes left. Doc, do you want to finish off with a song, or what idea do you have?
Yeah, we can do that. No problem. I want to say hello to Natalia Moon. She just joined us here in the chat room. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We're going to be on air every Wednesday and Thursday here on BTR, Freedom Reigns Radio, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And we'll be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is a little bit more advanced. So for the newcomers, please join us if you can. Do not be shocked if some of it is a little bit over your head. We also do a lot more different topics on Thursdays. We'll cover current events and what's happening in the news. People often tell you, and you'll hear, Doc lives on C-SPAN. Oh, watch C-SPAN, the most boringest program in the world, all day long, 24/7. So you don't have to.
Well, hey, Doc. Hey, Doc.
Yeah.
You know this lesson 1 that we just covered at the beginning of the show. Is there any way that we can post that into the chat so that so that people can pick it up and look at it, read it on their own? It's only like 3 pages, so.
Yeah, I'm going to post a link. This is our show page there, freedomreigns.us/David Meola.html. The real easy way to do it is just go to freedomreigns.us. That'll bring the home page. Look under Our Team. Click on my name, and that'll bring you to that page. On that page, you're going to find the first archive shows from 2012. That's May of 2012. And they pretty much cover the basics. Right below that, you're going to find the 2 links, and it's titled Rabbit Hole and Constitution Lesson 1 Study Links. Those are the Law Dictionary for those 2 links there. As you go down, you're going to come across other PDFs that we're going to cover in the upcoming weeks. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll also see some of the articles that I have written, and you'll also see where it says download study guide with links. If you click on that, that's going to bring you to all those, to make it real easy for you, all those papers we're going to go over in the future. And yes, and it even has the Constitutional Lesson 1 notes there for you. So you can download that. It opens up in like a PDF. It's not a, I guess it's considered a PDF. But it's a real simple page that you can bookmark, and it's a study guide, and it has all the, all the links you'll need. So you don't have to go crazy trying to bookmark everything and going back and writing down. If you miss it when they're posted here in the chat room, that's okay. I'm almost always going to find them posted there on that page. So you'll be able to catch up without a problem. Tonight is our first show, Kurt, so you didn't miss anything. You've been here the whole time, so I wouldn't worry about catching up. For those of you who may have missed the beginning of tonight's show, you can click on that link and just read over the notes or listen to the show in the archives, either way, to help you catch up. For Thursday, when you tune in on Thursday, like I said, we try to have a lot of fun. We also do an hour overtime on average. So if you want to hear the overtime, you'll have to catch that in the archives or call in on the listener line. Then you'll be able to hear it. But with that, we ran out of time to even play a song for the evening to say goodbye. We have 90 seconds left. I hope you join us all tomorrow. I want to thank everyone for those who participated in the chat room. And remember, guys, this is your show. Okay? You have a question or a comment, please feel free. Put it in the chat. Call in, raise your hand. We'll love to have you on air. Thursday night, you got a topic you want to cover or you're interested, give us a call. Okay? We're here. We're just here to push the buttons and guide you along this journey. It's a fantastic journey. It can be a lot of fun. Till next week, if we don't hear from you tomorrow, God bless, be safe, and take care, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Good night, all.
Fantastic. Oh, good. I see you got back into the other chat room. Since it is the first show, we did launch the BTR chat room. It's for you guys who are floating around BTR, and I used to do that all the time myself, and look to see who had opened the live chats. Feel free to go ahead and post any questions or comments in there. Of course, you do have to log into your BTR account to do that. You cannot. You can read the chat, but you cannot participate in the chat if you do not log in. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can also go over the very top link that you're going to find in the chat room. There is our own freedomreigns.us/chat HTML. That's .html. That'll bring you to our Freedom Reigns chat room. That is open 24/7. So anytime you have any questions or comment about a particular show airing here on Freedom Reigns, that's the place you want to go. That'll also bring you, if you look on the left-hand side of that link, you'll find our homepage, our team, where everybody has their own page about their show, some the archived information, along with study links that go along with the many different shows we do air here on Freedom Reigns. There's also a forum. Now, I don't know how active that has been of late. I have myself have lagged in that department. I have not gone in and updated too much of the information for my particular show. All of our listeners usually join us here on air, excuse me, and call in with their questions and so on and so forth. The first couple of links you're going to want to make yourself familiar with, and we're going to get them posted in there. I just have not opened it at the moment, so you're going to have to give me and Jose there a second to get those links together for you. It's going to be for the Beauvier's Law Dictionary. Now, if you go over at the Freedom Reigns site and you click on our team, you'll see my name, David Meola. Well, if you click on that, that will open up a new tab. And under that tab, you're going to see the top two links. You're going to see a little bit about myself. Pretty picture of me, too. How about that? The first 4 archived shows, which is pretty much the lessons we're going to be reviewing today. So you can always go back and listen to them. Right below that, you'll see Rabbit Hole and the Constitution Lesson 1 study links. Those are the 2 links in question. You may have to copy and paste them. They're Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Beauvier's 1856 Law Dictionary. And that's the topic for tonight. So we're going to use those 2 links. If you, I'll drop, let me copy and paste it here for the main chat out there in BTR. I'll drop the main site link, there you go, into the chat room for you guys. And if you click on that link, that'll open the page that I was just. Hello all, and welcome to our first Wednesday broadcast of Community and the Constitution. For those of you who have been with us a long time, we're using this second night. We usually broadcast on Thursday evenings, same time, 7 p.m., right here on Blog Talk Radio. But we decided that that class was getting so advanced, and we were picking up a lot of new listeners, we decided to start back with the basics for all you great folks out there. So tonight's our first airing of the new day, same time, same show. And, of course, we have Jose joining us, and Jessie will join us when she can. Tonight we're going to learn about the Constitution, its contract. You're going to learn a lot of information that you've never saw before. You probably have heard 1,000 different versions. You've maybe even sat in on YouTube lectures on the Constitution and the so-called universities out there. But if you have done that, you've also noticed a pattern. They're all just kind of repeating the same thing over and over again. It's like a broken record. Well, tonight for a lot of you folks, especially if this is the first time joining us, you're going to hear it in a way you've never heard it before. And you're going to hear it backed with law language. Since it is a legal and lawful document, we have to look at the law language of things. And it's all about starting to learn how to correct our verbiage. Because we've all been indoctrinated to think the same way and to believe in a certain way. When that way simply, well, is not the truth. It's borders on some truthful things at times, but in most cases, remember, our history is written by the winners. No matter what topic in history it may be. So you're really only getting one side of the story. And we've all been taught that way, especially if we've attended the public fool system, as we like to call it here on the Community and Constitution show. Jose, I hear you there in the background. How you doing tonight, brother?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Dave?
Oh, doing fan. For the law dictionaries or anything else we may use, I will also be giving you page numbers and what volume to make it that much easier for you to look up. Those links are searchable. All right, Beauvier's Volume 1 and 2 are searchable. If you look to the left of those links, you'll see where it says search, and you type in a single word or a phrase, and it'll give you all the locations, and you just click on that, and it'll bring you to the page you're looking for. Or you can simply put in the page number directly, which is a lot easier, especially since the search engine on that particular site is, it's good, don't get me wrong, but if you don't know what you're looking for, it can be a little overwhelming. So, with that, if there's no questions or comments, Jose, if you have anything you want to add before we get started, we'll get started with tonight's lesson.
Well, I'd just like to touch on some of what I've been having to follow all week. It's been requested of me that I help in doing a little bit.
Jose. Check your mic plug, Jose. I think you unplugged yourself or muted yourself.
Huh? Can you hear me now?
Now you're back.
All right. Well, this week has been a very interesting week. I've been requested by one of our listeners to actually help in doing some research and possible compilation of all this Sandy Hook information and line it up and set it up for a possible court and, pressing charges and finding out who and what and all that other stuff. And so that's pretty much what I've been doing. I've got about 12 hours of research into it just this week alone. Oh boy, is that a lot of stuff. But there's a lot of good information coming out of it. I'd like to say that, it might be possible to set up a show for this, but it'll end up being like a 2 to 3 day show. All I'm really going to want to do is kind of hit some of the higher topics on it and maybe put out, the links that I have so that people can pick up on it and see where it started, see where it's going. But it's very interesting. It is very, very interesting because they're speaking about. And like I said, if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the two links together. It says Volume 1, and then right below that, Volume 2. Those are the law dictionaries we're going to be using most frequently throughout the show, throughout your lessons here. We cover many topics, and you'll start to understand why. And it's not that difficult. It's law, and law
at times can be very dry and boring to a lot of people. However, we try to make it a little bit exciting for you because you're going to learn it in a way you've never been taught it before. And hopefully if you stick with us long enough and you do the studies and follow the links, your eyes are going to be open like never before. You're going to get an education in the basics like you've never discovered before. And then if you get that fire lit in you and that hunger, well, you'd be surprised where it's going to lead you to. And you'll eventually going to find our main sites, which over there at packalliance.us. How you doing, Kurt? Glad to see you made it in the chat there. Welcome. It might be a little tricky, depending on what chat room you're trying to sign in to. Like I said, BTR, you have to log in order to comment. And you can comment in our main chat room without logging into the account, and you just show up as anonymous. But you can still comment. If you put your name in there, of course, we'll say hello to you by name. And we always enjoy knowing who our listeners are. And this way, too, if we have any questions or comments. Later, we will open the phone lines for anybody who wants us to call in. And that phone number is 714-868-0749. That number will never change. That number will always be the same, no matter what show you're listening to here from Freedom Reigns. That will always be your call-in number. If you're familiar with BTR, that is also the number you can call in to just listen. If you do have a question or comment, you push the number 1 on your keypad, and that will signal the board here so I can see that, yes, you would like to make a comment or you do have a question and you want to get on air to discuss it. And we love having you guys. The more questions that you ask, the better the show becomes, because then I am directing exactly what you want to know or what you may be curious about. There's going to be a lot of new information for a lot of people. Most people, I also recommend, please take notes. Open up a WordPad on your computer. If you got a pencil and paper and you're more comfortable using that, please do so. Take notes. Not only will I give you all the links,
stuff in there that dates back to December 10th. There's the 10th, there's the 11th, and there's things that date to the 13th. And then, obviously, what happened on the 14th, and all the news that come out of the 14th. And then a whole bunch of other stuff that's been out since then. Beyond that, I have been trying to catch up with the advanced materials that we have, and we can go into that tomorrow. For today, since we are doing redoing the beginners classes on this, if you haven't heard what we're talking about before, some of this may be new to you. Now, if you have, good for you. If you haven't, please take it. Don't take it in a heavy light or with a heavy heart, because I've got to say right from the start, I got to let you know, we have been getting played, we've been getting tricked, we've been getting fooled from so many angles. We are a very well manipulated society. As a matter of fact, most of the world is very heavily manipulated. This stuff starts pretty much from birth, and it's mega programming. It falls into the realm of brainwashing, but it's not brainwashing per se on certain aspects. Our educations are a big part of what they use to manipulate us. There's a lot of things that we are supposed to be taught in our schools, but the teachers are not allowed to teach it. because the people that run the curriculum are, let's say, at the federal level and some at the state level, they do not want the truth to come out. And when you study civics class, or government, if you will, you're not given 100% of the information.